Hello, everyone. I am so glad to be back with you. I recently reached out on my YouTube channel asking for more questions from my viewers. And like magic, you all asked some excellent questions, and I'm going to try to get to them in this video. If I don't get to all of them, it will either be because I've already answered something similar in another video, so make sure you check out all the videos, or I can't fit it all in 20, 30 minutes, however long this is. So I'll save your question and I will do it in a next video. I was recently on a break. I needed my psychic abilities to heal. And a lot of times for them to heal, they require not being used. There's many reasons that this happened, and it usually happens to me about once a year, where either things going on in my personal life or even helping clients affects my abilities. And I need to take a break. I did not want to take a break because I felt that this summer, after, I had 2 deaths of people that were very close to me, I wanted to get going. I felt I'd already taken a break enough. So I took on 2 piles of mentoring students, and really I probably should have been taking a longer break. So spirit will eventually force the hand if they feel that you're not doing what they need you to do. I want to tell you that if you ever feel that your gifts suddenly go quiet, or they feel very stuck, or like you're walking in mud trying to get information, take a break. Sometimes all you need is 24 hours. Sometimes you need weeks. It just varies on what's going on with you, but just keep that in mind. Honor your energy. No matter what you feel you should be doing, sometimes the best thing you can do is rest. Okay, so the first question, someone asked, what are some everyday practices we can do to strengthen our abilities? The one thing that can really help you strengthen your intuition is living from the heart and not so much from your mind. And I know a lot of times people say this and it sounds good, but you're like, I don't know exactly what that means. And me, myself, I had to get there on my own. I'm like, I get what you're saying, but I don't get what you're saying. Like, live from the heart. What that means is using your intuition to make decisions in your everyday life. It's more navigating your life from a place of knowing who you are, what you want, and what is drawing your attention. It's sort of like that feeling you get when you're like, I don't know where this is going to take me. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with this, but this is the direction I feel I should go. I just feel a pull towards it. A lot of times when we're living from the head instead of from the heart, you're making decisions based in fear, worry, from a place of maybe being needy or clingy with someone, or, just if you don't have a guarantee on something's going to work out, then you sort of find yourself stuck and you don't move forward because you're like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know if what's going to come of it. Well, that's a journey for you to take. And as long as you are navigating yourself with your heart and your intuition, you can start looking at those situations like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really excited for wherever it'll take me. And if I get down the road and it takes me someplace I thought, I don't really like this, will you just listen to your intuition again and let it navigate you to your next journey? So living your life as present in the moment as you can possibly be. And being humans, that's difficult, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. So what do I mean by being present? I mean not living in the past and ruminating over things that have happened, or saying that, well, I'm in this position because this happened and that happened to me. And also not living in the future, which means worrying and being stuck in a place of uncertainty because you don't know what's going to happen, or you have gone into the future in your mind and created scenarios or problems that have not actually transpired. So being present means being in this moment and making decisions from this moment. Okay, the next question. This person asks, do you know the telltale signs of someone that might be denying their psychic abilities or maybe purposely ignoring their natural gifts, is it possible to completely block your abilities out due to fear or other reasons? So there's sort of two questions in there. Let's take the second one. Is it possible to completely block out your abilities due to fear? Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes it still happens to me. We have past traumas or scary things that happened, and maybe you're having an off day energetically. And if you get fearful, what it does is it pinches off the flow of energy. Because technically, and to be deep, I guess, when you're being fearful, you are not in alignment with your higher self. You're not in alignment with God, universe, the divine, because they know that you are always safe and you are always completely connected. Being in fear sort of makes you disconnected, and that's when intuitive abilities cannot flow. That's why it's very important in this life, whether it's using your intuitive abilities or just navigating your life, to work on removing fear in all ways, okay? Because when you remove fear, you are completely connected, you're in alignment, and you are able to not only receive intuitive guidance, but you are able to make decisions that put you on your highest path. Okay, so that's the first thing. To go back to the first one, when he said, do you know the telltale signs of someone that might be denying their psychic abilities or ignoring their gifts? I mean, this can be so varied. What I have seen when you remove the fear thing, because usually what happens is that if someone is pushing away their gifts, they tend to be very anxious and very nervous. Okay, so that's the first thing I notice. In a deeper sense, when someone in this lifetime is really ignoring their abilities and they don't want anything to do with them, they tend to be angry towards anything that has to do with intuitive abilities. You see anger. They want to put rules on things. Sometimes they tend to be ultra scientific. I'm not saying all scientific people are, but what I'm saying is that it's very black and white, and they tend to be argumentative when it comes to these subjects or having an open mind. So that's what I would say I've noticed with people is their fear of it, or maybe even some past life stuff, can really make them angry in this life about people who are using their intuitive abilities or recognizing that they exist. Okay. This person said, why are my abilities starting to show even if I do not work on them or plan to communicate with angels, spirit guides, etc.? Does spiritual growth always lead to this road? So what I would say is that your true self, your soul, your spirit, your being is intuitive. It is second nature. It is ingrained in every part of your life and in every cell. So whether you are actively trying to read someone or you're sitting down talking to your spirit guides, you are an intuitive being using your intuitive abilities. Maybe a lot, maybe a little. Your natural abilities, what you've always had through all your lifetimes, always wants to bubble to the surface, okay? You don't have to read people. You don't have to talk to angels. You don't even have to believe in them. But you are an intuitive being. And you probably are using your gifts all the time, but you don't think you are because you think, I'm just going to the grocery store. I'm just living my life. But you're always scanning for energy. You have these other senses that are picking up on information. Whether you're trying to or not, you are. That's what I want to say. We are intuitive creatures. That's what we are. And it can only be hindered or blocked out so much. And why would you want to do that anyway? Just think, when you sense that this intuition is bubbling to the surface, it's your true nature is becoming more obvious in what you actually are, which is one with the divine, okay? And this person asked, does spiritual growth always lead down this road? To some extent, yes. I think that a lot of times Some people are okay with spiritual growth, but they're like, I don't know about intuitive abilities. They're one and the same. You are an intuitive being, and the more spiritual you become, which means becoming in alignment with your true self, sometimes the more you will find that your intuitive abilities are becoming more obvious, because it's not something separate. You have a lot of people, they think they're separate, but they're one and the same. And that's why often when let's say you start meditating, you start having experiences, and it's experiences that your soul has always had throughout its lifetimes. And now that you are becoming more in alignment, you're simply experiencing what's always happening around you, which is picking up on energy and picking up on information. What tends to be the karmic link in regards to chronic illnesses or disease that needs healing? And, there can be so many things. To sort of simplify it, you might be dealing with a chronic illness or disease in this life because of how you treated your body in a previous life. So I'll give you a quick example here. It's TMI, but too bad, you're watching my channel. I had horrible female problems my entire life. I ended up eventually having a hysterectomy, which was magical and wonderful that they could do that. And I question why. I'm like, God, I have been burdened since I was 12 years old with these horrible, horrible problems. It was like I was always chasing one and playing whack-a-mole with these issues. Long story short, in a past life, I had many, many births, if I could talk, and a lot of times I didn't give my body any time to heal before I got pregnant again, and it really wreaked havoc. So it sort of leaves an imprint on you, and you can carry that into the next life. Let's say you got hung in a previous life by the neck, with a rope. You might find in this life you have really bad neck issues. So yeah, past lives can definitely affect what's going on with you in this life. The other things, though, are the things that can make us sick are not so much karmic as much as the anger, resentment, fear that you are holding in your body from this lifetime. So even though past lives are cool and interesting and can sometimes help with a little bit of the mysteries we're experiencing in this life, sometimes I feel like people focus too much on them. And the truth is, when you get down to it, it doesn't really matter what happened in the other lives. It's what's happening in this life and how you are going to change it or progress in a better way. So I would say that if you are having illness or disease, you need to really investigate what your body needs and what's going on in this life. And sometimes it's something like I said, like holding on to resentment. It can make you sick. So keep that in mind. The second question was, how do you know when you're on the verge of a great awakening and your psychic abilities are coming to the forefront? I don't want to say all the time, but a lot of times. In life, hopefully you'll have an awakening, right? And then you'll have many smaller awakenings. Usually when you're on the verge of a big awakening, it can feel terrible. I'm just going to be straight out with you. It can feel like you're losing your mind. You can want to get out of relationships, your job. You might feel like everything's falling apart. And it reminds me of the Tower card in tarot, where, you built up something that wasn't on stable ground. And to make way for something better, God's going to come over and knock the tower down. And you're going to have to start up all over again to build something more stable and strong. So I would say that awakenings can be like that. It's going to knock down everything you know to rebuild something better. It can be very unpleasant. And the ascension symptoms that come with it can be very uncomfortable. Okay. But when you know that that's what's going on, you can honor the energy and be patient with yourself. Okay. I don't want to say that scaring anybody, but I try to not bullshit anyone on here. Awakenings will strip you down. They will absolutely strip you down. Okay. And the second part of that, how do you know when your psychic abilities are coming to the forefront? Generally, you start having a lot of psychic phenomena around you happening, a lot of synchronicities, seeing a lot of number sequences, signs, things that just really catch your attention. Is spirit trying to go, hey, you're waking up and we're so excited and we're trying to give you little reminders you are waking up. Okay, the next question. This person asked about shadow work, and they said, would you do a video on this subject? So maybe I'll do a video later, but I'll do something short for you right now. This was not the only person that asked about shadow work. So shadows are things that we've buried within us, okay? And they usually are affecting our life. They kind of put a veil over us. They blur our decision-making skills. They can affect the people around us, on and on. Do you want to know what your shadows are? It's not too hard to figure out. I want you to think the last time someone pissed you off, really pissed you off. Now I want you to think, was your reaction warranted? Or do you think maybe you kind of overreacted a little? And then I want you to sit and think about how you respond to certain situations and notice if there is a pattern. So, for example, let's say every time you're out and about and you put on a really great outfit and you spend a lot of time making sure you look good, you go out, but no one says anything about how you look. And then you find yourself worrying, like, well, do they think I look okay? Is my hair okay? Do I look, like I gained weight in this outfit? If you find that you're always doing this sort of negative self-talk, or you are always getting angry when someone, like when someone tells you what to do. Like, I have a problem listening to other people's opinions about my life. That seems obvious, but I really get fired up. Like, if you have an opinion about my life and it doesn't affect you, I can fly right off the handle. And where that comes from is my shadow aspect is that when I was younger, I felt not heard, and I felt like I had a parent that was very, very controlling. So now as a grown-up, anytime that I think someone's trying to control me, I can get very triggered. And I recognize it now. I'm aware of it. It doesn't mean I never get triggered, but now that I'm aware of it, I get triggered less. And I'm also able to feel that sort of anger rising, take a few breaths, recognize, okay, this person is not really doing what I think they're doing. Like, calm down, Ryan. That's your shadow self. Your shadow self is the part of you that gets triggered, overreacts, gets anxious about other people, that type of thing, okay? And it is something very important to acknowledge and work on. But that's the short answer. What is triggering you? What patterns do you have that you keep doing? That's your shadow self, and that's the shadow work for you to be doing. Okay, next question. This person wondered if I could talk about the meaning of crow visitations, and she's been seeing crows in threes lately. So I'm actually going to make you do this work. It can be, without me looking into it specifically, because I don't do that here on YouTube, what I would do is Google the meaning of crows, and then also the meaning behind the number 3. Now, usually the number 3 is the divine. It's angels, ascended masters, spirit guides trying to get your attention. I want to say, I get a sense that the crow thing is intuition, but forget what I'm saying. Look up what a crow means symbolically, and look at a few articles, because the articles are colored with whoever wrote them. So look at a few, and between that, you'll be able to put them together. But basically, Spirit's trying to give you signs, and they give different signs to everyone. These are your signs. Okay. This person said some tips for being an empath. They get headaches when someone near them is in physical pain. How do you protect yourself? So being an empath, you'll never completely be able to shut yourself down. So what I mean by that is not absorb the people around you, but there's things you can do to definitely temper it. One of them is using protective light shields, and you can look up all the different color light shields and what they help you with, okay? The other thing is doing meditation, breath work, anything that makes you very present and physically in your body. So honestly, even gardening would be really, really great to do. Walking, exercising. The point of those things is not only to get you present, but they make you very centered, very much in your body. And it's only when you're not completely in your body that you can start having someone's energy sort of push into yours. So, okay, the next one. What advice can you give to a budding medium? Well, how much time do you got? I guess if I could tell you one thing, it would be to enjoy yourself. A lot of times when we're doing this work, we can make what seems really exciting not very fun because we're sort of toiling away at it. Is it toiling? Tolling. Chipping away at it, working away at it. You know what I mean? Practicing, honing our craft, putting pressure on ourselves, sometimes thinking we're not good enough or we need to be better. And I know personally what happens for me is I realize I haven't been having any damn fun with this. And that's when I know I need to step back from clients, step back from trying to run forward to where I don't know, and actually be present in my everyday and enjoy my gifts and how fun they can be. So that's my advice to you. Don't take it too serious. Have a good time, and you'll notice the more fun you have, the stronger your gifts grow. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, this person said they have 2 questions. Can we be in contact telepathically with another person's higher self without the person knowing? So let's take that first question. There's nothing that's no or yes in a lot of these subjects. Okay, but generally, if you're trying to tap into someone's higher self without them knowing, their higher self will probably shut it down, okay? Because the higher self is taking care of that person, and they want to honor that person's energy, and also it's not a morally good thing to do. So can you talk to someone's higher self? Yes, absolutely. And often when I'm receiving information for someone else, I'm receiving information from their spirit guides and also their higher self or angels assisting them. The person obviously knows I'm doing it because that's the right thing to do. You should have respect for someone, and jumping over them to try to talk to people in their team, you shouldn't be doing, okay? And if someone on their team, like their higher self, feels that that's what you're doing, you will probably find that the information gets a bit shut down. Generally, you shouldn't try to do that, and you will probably be shut down if you're trying to do that. So yes, you can talk to someone's higher self without their knowledge. That'll be up to the higher self, and generally, if they think that you shouldn't be doing it, they won't do that. If you're going to read someone, you should always have their permission. Always, okay? The second question, can a soul be in a living person and the higher self of that same soul be a guide to someone else? And this person I'm talking about is an old soul and extremely gifted. Okay, so you have a higher self and you have an oversoul. And from what I understand, your oversoul, your highest self, can be helping more than just you. So technically, there's many versions of you, okay? Which is sort of trippy sounding, but what I think you're asking is that if a person you know, if their higher self is being a spirit guide, maybe to you, and I'll bet you no, okay? usually if someone's higher self, even though it is a form of a guide, it's different than spirit guides, okay? So that person's higher self wouldn't be your spirit guide, okay? Even though that higher self might have many selves, it's helping, okay? Just because someone seems like an old soul and is very gifted, it is possible that they're in your life to play a part just like everyone is. Okay, they're playing a part, but that does not mean that they are meant to be your spirit guide. So hopefully I understood what you're asking and answered that correctly. And even if that was the case, like let's say in the very off chance that someone's higher self is also helping you, that person wouldn't know it, and you probably wouldn't know it. They wouldn't tell you because they wouldn't want it to be, the boundaries to be so blurred, if that makes sense. And I think spirit would also be concerned that then you might put that person on a pedestal and that kind of thing. So I doubt they would tell you. Okay. So hopefully that answers that. This person asked if there is a hierarchy of spiritual beings. Are angels at the top? If not, then who? Who would the angels answer to? Well, the angels answer to God, to source, to the universe. There is a hierarchy of all types of beings. So, and I mean, this list is very long, but there's all types of beings in all the dimensions. We got like 13 dimensions, and there's beings in each one of them. And, there's spirit guides that are higher than these spirit guides, and angels that are higher than these angels. And they work their way all the way up to God, to source. And, they're in charge of different things. Like you have angels in charge of angels, spirit guides in charge of spirit guides, angels in charge of spirit guides, light beings in charge of this. You know what I mean? Like there's always someone sort of above you until you get to the very top, where then everything, it's like it's all merged together as one, okay, which is a little confusing, but yeah, there's, and you can even, look up the angels. I mean, there's so many different kinds of angels, but there's so many different kinds of light beings. Just when you think you scratch the surface of the different types of beings and the different levels they're at, just keeps going on and on and on. It's fascinating, but it can also be a bit overwhelming. But the good thing is they're all working for the same plan, on the same team. They're all working together. Okay, this person asked if there was any other mediums, psychics, light workers on YouTube you would recommend. There is, and I don't want to, you're not going to be happy with this answer. There's so many that I follow, but I don't want to just be listing them right now here, and here's why. It's not so you don't find them. You can definitely go to who I follow and see who I enjoy watching, okay, on my list. But I don't want to look like I'm favoring anybody, because there's so many good light workers and there's so many new ones coming to the surface. So anyway, just go to who I follow and you'll see people that I really enjoy watching, okay? Because there's a lot of good ones, but I just don't want to forget anybody and piss somebody off, okay? Soul contracts, agreements. This person said, I'm not sure if I completely buy some of the things I've heard around these topics, and I'd love to see your insight. So, soul contracts and agreements, I don't know what you've heard or read. I mean, the subject can get pretty deep, as all of these can. Basically, there's different kinds of contracts and agreements. Big ones, little ones. There's ones that you make when you come to this life, like the things that your soul wants to experience. You have contracts with other people, and these people come into your life to affect you. And, your soul, believe it or not, wants to experience all kinds of situations and all kinds of emotions, because they know that navigating those is how they will get to the higher realms. So even when something's real shitty and you're thinking, why the hell did I agree to this? You probably did in some way, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you just have to swallow whatever's happening to you, But, your soul might want to see how you navigate this. So keep that in mind. Don't be a victim of, well, I made an agreement and da da da. It's like, no. You made an agreement, and maybe the agreement was in hopes you'd find your way out of it. Okay, so, we're meant to be our highest, best self no matter what and make good decisions that are in alignment with us. Okay, so you have those kind of agreements. In agreements like of who your parents will be and who you might date, and the agreements go on and on and on. Contracts, I should say. And then you make sometimes smaller agreements. So one that can be like, let's say you're helping people in your job. You might have little agreements with these people, and that's why it's good to clear them. So I'll give you an example here. Working with clients, sometimes what happens is that unnecessary spiritual contracts are formed, okay? Ones you don't mean to form, or ones that are meant for a very short time. The contract's still hanging around and now it's affecting you negatively. Easy fix to this. Maybe once, twice, 3 times a year, you can ask Archangel Michael to please clear and remove all unnecessary spiritual contracts and agreements. It's that simple, okay? And it's good self-care. It's good energetic self-care, because you do get these kind of little agreements that attach and can cause issues. And I'll teach you one right now. There's something you should never say, and we've all done it. God knows I have. Let's say a family member's sick or they're having surgery and you're really worried about them. You're at the hospital and you're like, okay, dear God, if you make my sister come out of surgery safe and okay, I will never, ever swear again. Which I've never made that agreement, but you can see we've all done that. We've all prayed, begged for something, and then said, if you do this, I will do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. What's happened is you made an agreement, and it's not the higher beings that will hold you to it. It's the lower ones that overheard you. And what happens is that you're going to swear again, right? Or I am. And these lower beings will be like, oh, you said she was okay. And you said that you weren't going to swear, and you did. So now we can get in your energy. So that's where, we a lot of times wonder how we form these energetic cords, or sort of icky beings get in our energy and mess with stuff. It's because you may have made a contract you didn't hold up to, or because you subconsciously made an agreement, and the subconscious can do a lot of quirky things. So anyway, don't do that. That's a good lesson to learn here. Don't say, I will do this if you do this, or if he loves me, I'll never do this. You're making agreements, and there's beings listening. They're just waiting for you to not hold up your end of your agreement. And that's how they get permission to get in your energy. Okay. This person also asked about past lives. That's all you wrote, just past lives, which that in itself is probably a, Encyclopedia Britannica of information. I don't tend to do a lot of work or give a lot of information about past lives, and here's why. Past lives can be fascinating. They're cool to hear, like the other stuff your soul has done. But I found that people get really caught up in it. And instead of living this life, which is the most important one, the one you're in right now, they say, well, I'm staying with my boyfriend even though he's an asshole because we were together in a past life, or, in this life I have this problem because in a past life this happened. It becomes sort of like an excuse, and I don't think the person that asked this, I don't think that's why you're looking for information, but I think it's good for me to educate everyone on why I don't get too much into it, okay? Past lives are cool. They're interesting. Don't dwell on them, and don't color this life with whatever you find out that happened in others, okay? This person also asked, would you consider making your Vimeo videos available for purchase? They rented all of them. Thank you very much. They are amazing. Thank you very much. But you need more time with them. So I'm not going to say never. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. But generally, let me tell you why they are rented. It's to get your ass moving. As a mentor, I know that when you have information for a long time, you will sit on it. You will dick around with it. You won't get to it. But I thought if I put a limit, which 30 days is quite a bit. I mean, that's 4 weeks of practice. You'll go, I gotta practice. I gotta do it. And here's proof of that. I've had numerous people that had the video for 30 days and they watched it once. And it's like, and then they're like, well, I wish I could have bought it. I'm like, why? If you're just going to watch it once, save your money. The videos are meant for homework, and they're meant to teach you things, but they're also meant for you to actually do things regularly. And the best way for me to get a fire under your butt is to put a time limit on it. These are the other reasons I do a 30-day rental. When I was mentoring with someone, there was no recordings, a very little paperwork. It was me, a pen, paper, and trying to absorb information. And I honestly think it's more important for you to absorb it. It's like, if you go to a doctor, he had to absorb everything. And he can't be flipping through his books and going, hold on, I got to check something. He had to absorb it. And I think absorbing sometimes is the best way to learn, okay? Also, I don't want you clinging to what I've taught you. So I'm happy to teach you the basics, to get you going, to build a solid foundation. But then eventually you are supposed to become you're supposed to make these things I teach you yours. And a lot of times that's, it might be a shortcut. It might be something your spirit guides teach you. I took what I learned from my mentors and I made it my own. And I had eventually different experiences, and my angels and guides were teaching me different things they didn't teach me. And I made the lessons I have now from those. I want you to do the same thing. If you always have these videos, you might not grow on your own, which is what I want for you, okay? And plus, like I said, people they need the pressure, okay? 30 days is plenty of time. And also, if you're practicing 3-4 times a week, the things I give you to do, in a month's time, you will see quite a bit of progress. I had a mentor that I met every week, sometimes every other week. I had 1 week to practice the lessons that she gave me, but I went leaps and bounds because of it. So keep that in mind. Ryan could do it with 1 week. You have 4, all right? This next person asked, about sleep paralysis, what is my take on it? And then they asked a second question. So my experience is that when you sleep at night, and I think I did touch on another video about this, when you go to sleep at night, you have a cord that is attached to your spirit, and your spirit travels up out of your body, travels around, goes to school, does all kinds of stuff, sometimes has a different kind of job. Then you come back into your body via this cord. Sometimes what happens with sleep paralysis is that you've not quite fully got back into your body, and your spirit hasn't fully got back into your body, and you start to wake up and you can't move. Okay, so usually it takes a few seconds. Sometimes even you'll feel it, instead of sleep paralysis, it'll feel like you're falling, and you sort of wake up quickly. Well, literally you fell back into yourself, and that's what creates that jolt that jolts you awake. Okay. You can also have where lower beings, sort of when you're in that in-between stage of being awake and asleep, these lower beings like to sit on you, push on your head, and then you find that you can't move. If you think that's happening, a lot of times they will hold you right down on your forehead or on your chest. You just call in Archangel Michael, demand they leave, and you'll snap out of it in a second. Okay. The next part of the question was, this person had heard another medium mention that spirits don't need help to cross over to the other side. What is your take on that? That's true. There is, like we had talked earlier in the video about all kinds of beings and all the different dimensions. If a person has chosen to not cross over, they will always be given the opportunity to at another time. And again, without getting into a really deep subject, there's so many different reasons they might not have. There could be there's darker beings that sometimes try to keep someone from crossing over. But again, just like on Earth, we're always protected. In these other dimensions, you are always protected too. You're always being watched over. So yes, eventually the angels and guides, whether it takes a short time or a long time, and time's different in those dimensions compared to ours, they will have an opportunity to cross over and eventually will, more than likely, okay? Now, can you assist? Yes. Well, first of all, you should be taught. You should know what you're doing to do that, okay? But generally, if you feel that an earthbound is hanging around, what you can do is you can call in angels and guides to please surround this being and talk to them and assist them back to the light. You can even say to the being, your angels are here. I'm going to call down a white column of light for you, and I hope that you enter it and cross over. I mean, there are things you can do. You don't have to. And they don't need you to, but sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes they're confused. Sometimes they don't know they're deceased. And even though they have angels and guides sort of following them around, like, trying to assist them, but also still giving them free will, you can definitely assist in that way. So she's right in the sense, like, they don't need you to, but if you can help, should you? Yeah, if you want to, but, yeah, they don't need us to. We're just sort of helpers. Thank you very much for sending in your questions. I love them. They were all very good questions. I hope I got through them fast enough, but also efficiently enough, and with enough information to satisfy. I have the best people following me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Much love to you, babes.